The last 12 months have been hell on earth.
It was dark, completely dark.
Really started to think, hang on a minute, we could be in trouble here.
The wind got up and it had changed, it was blowing, there was smoke, soot.
The heat was beyond anything I've ever been through.
The roar got louder and louder and louder. We were all thinking, no, this is not good. And all of a sudden things just went a bit quiet.
The whole sky just went pitch black.
Felt like you couldn't breathe, and the fire had sucked all the air out, and so the trees weren't moving. There was no birds, there was no animals.
She was unhappy to leave us on it, and I said, well, I'm going to stay, you know, because I mean, at that stage, there was no real threat, and we had no information of what was around.
And I looked up, I could see the flames.
Middle of a paddock, you could see gum trees, I'd say 6 or 7 gum trees. There's no flames around, and they were just going up like candlesticks, just boom, 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 because of the intensity of the heat.
Well, what we had was rockets, just raining out of the sky.
It was terrifying, it was blood-curdling.
Never looked at a fire front and just gone, yeah.
How tall is that?
We're in trouble here.
People have likened it to 100 freight trains, 100 jumbo jets at once.
It felt like you're in war.
The fire was as intense as anything I'd ever seen in pictures or could imagine.
I thought, well, if this is as bad as it gets, then we should be fine.
No amount of training in the world could prepare anyone for that day.
It still doesn't seem real. It's inconceivable that you can think that we're all here together. We left the house together, the 4 of us, and 2 of us survived and 2 didn't.
Coming back in and seeing the absolute destruction was something that you don't want anybody ever to have to go through again.
The hardest part for me was not leaving my house on fire. It was getting stuck on the roads and having a gum tree fall in front of our car, having to drive over it while it was on fire, and my little boy screaming and me telling him, I'll look after you, mate. And we got through.
It's the most horrific thing, having my son ring me and me not being able to go up and get him and save him, and having told him that he'd always be safe with his mum and dad. He was without both of us.
I honestly felt like as if I was the only person or the family that, you know, Bron, Dom and Lola and I were the only people on earth.
Not one story is the same, they're all different. All completely different.
And I saw the fence, the neighbouring fence just exploded. The one that I was going to put out or stop the fire at, just exploded into 6 metres of flame and more.
One of the jerry cans exploded, so I hid behind the car, and then the shed was on fire, so I thought, oh, I'm going to get out of here because the shed's on fire. And I opened the door to get out, and as soon as I opened the door, there was just a big wall of flame in front of me.
We had that much adrenaline pumped into our bodies that we became quite lethargic, and in those precious moments you are almost wanting to just sit down and succumb to the fire front.
Unbelievable, 80 k's in a fire truck, and these grass fires have just overtaken us like we're walking. It's crazy, absolutely crazy.
We didn't argue very much. I never yelled at her in all those years of marriage, 37 years. And that particular day she was poking around in the bedroom. I don't know what she was poking around for, but I actually yelled at her, and they were the last words that I said to her.
Braced ourselves for what was to come again, and we watched, this time, houses across the street go up. We watched about 3 or 4 of them go up. And we were getting pretty worried because we had no water by this stage at all to fight it. And then the New South Wales Fire Brigade turned up and set up. And it was just like, oh, thank God.
Marilyn was directly behind me, and whether she panicked because there was a couple of little spot fires in the paddock, whether she saw those and panicked and stopped because of that, I don't know. I'll never know. It's something I'll never know.
We asked them how we could get out, which was the safest way out. And we finally managed to get out via Hillsville. We had to go through Talangi, down Myers Creek Road, and that was on fire at some places. What we saw when we drove out was just horrific.
We basically made our way down Falls Road in the pitch dark and bouncing off the gutters to find our way. You couldn't see the road, it was so dark, and of course all the buildings between us and Mount Kitchener Avenue were just ablaze.
It seemed like about 3 or 4 hours, it was probably only 3 or 4 minutes, and I was still alive, so I got up and opened the door again because the shed, we had 3 cars in the shed and they were all on fire, and I had to get out. It was either, if I knew if I stayed in there I was going to be dead.
The encounter with death, the feeling that you might have died, changes everything really. So in the ensuing year, there's all sorts of adjustments to relationships. There's anger, there's blame, there's a whole range of things.
We lost everything, apart from the pair of shorts and a t-shirt I had on and a pair of sandals. No, that's all I had. That's all I had left.
It's just absolutely sad. We lost 3 lives and possibly about a dozen houses.
I did pick up your wallet, so I was one of the lucky ones that managed to do that.
I managed to find $1.75. That was about it. That was my whole life. My whole life just went up in flames. I mean, besides this top, everything I'm wearing now was donated by friends.
I keep saying to people, yeah, I'll be fine, but inside, I just don't know.
We'll never see the little girls become young ladies. Georgia will never run to Granny and Poppy again. And Lexi never got to walk. And why?
It's opened my eyes up to a lot of things. It certainly changed my faith in human nature, for sure. You know, the amount of help we've had off people is unbelievable.
It's actually given us the opportunity to appreciate well, being alive.
We actually said to ourselves when we realised that we'd made it through that we'll be better off for this, and it's made us stronger.
It's going to be tough, but how tough, I don't know.